What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Donovan Wagner and I'm an automotive photographer in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Now one thing I noticed on YouTube is I was watching some automotive photography videos and everything's pretty much 10, 15, 20 minutes long and it's very specific or targeted to people who are just getting into photography altogether. Whereas I find there's no short videos that just kind of give you a playbook. So if you're a photographer that typically shoots portraits or families or something of that nature, and you have a request to shoot cars for the first time, this video is for you. I'm gonna give you guys a quick little playbook as if you didn't do your homework and you wanna cheat off your friend on the bus, well, I got you. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so I'm gonna break this into 5 quick chapters for you guys, almost like a checklist before your car shoot. So step 1, gear needed. You need a camera, you need a lens, you need a filter, and you need a tripod. If you have all of these, you're set up for success. Now, as far as lenses go, my favorite lenses for car shots are a 35 and an 85mm prime. If you have a kit lens, 18 to 55 or 24 to 70 mid-range zoom, these will all work. I'm just telling you my preferences. You guys can make anything work. 70 to 200s, bring them, you can use them. So you got a camera, you got a lens, bring a tripod and a filter, you're gonna get good shots. All right, guys, chapter number 2 is come up with a small game plan. This doesn't need to be some giant elaborate storyboarding or shot list or anything of that nature, but it's just come up with a short game plan where you have a couple locations in mind. If the client wants rolling shots, make sure you plan your route to have a road that has at least 2 lanes. Makes your life so much easier. That way you're not driving on the wrong side of the road. But basically plan your locations. You want to go somewhere where the car is obviously going to be the primary subject, but a background that accents that vehicle is always important. And just try to avoid shooting in like a Walmart parking lot or something that's not very desirable. All right, guys, so let's move into the next chapter. You've arrived at location, you brought your gear, good job, you've made it this far. Now, I want to talk a bit about settings. That's the next chapter. Now, settings, this is very subjective because obviously the look you're going for will very much depend on, what settings you're going to use. However, this is just a guideline for those who don't do this day to day like I do, and this will give you a quick start to get out there and get the right shots. Now, shutter speed. For static shots, I like to keep my shutter speed 1/100 or faster. This will just allow, if you're not using a tripod, that they're going to be sharp every time. Okay, well you guys, I noticed I forgot to mention rolling shot shutter speeds. So shutter speeds for rolling shots, I always tend to start about 1/30. You be the judge of this. If you keep getting really sharp shots at that, slow it down. 1/10 is awesome. If you're having troubles and your lens isn't stabilized or your camera's not stabilized, bump it up to 1/50, 1/60, something of that nature. The general rule of thumb for rolling shots is however fast you're going. So if you're going 60 kilometers per hour, go 1/60, and that'll allow for enough motion blur while keeping the car sharp. Let's talk aperture. Now, aperture is something that people assume, I'm shooting a car, it's this giant object. I'm gonna have to shoot f11 to make sure the whole car is sharp. That is completely false. Most of my car shots are taken between like f2.8 to f4. And if I'm doing rolling shots, I do about f5.6 to f8. Just remember that people tend to associate bokeh as like high quality. So if you have a lens that can do f1.8 or something, and you shoot the car at that and the background's blurry, they're automatically just gonna love the pictures because that's what non-photographers basically like to see. So don't be afraid to shoot a bit more shallow. Of course, I'm talking about photos of the entire vehicle taken from a distance. I'm not talking close-up detail shots because obviously f1.8 at a close-up detail is going to just be really shallow. And the other thing I'm going to mention as far as settings go is dial in your white balance as best as possible because it's going to make your life so much easier in editing. Now this applies to every type of photography, but I figured I'd mention it. All right, guys, rolling into chapter 4. We're going to talk about angles and shots to get. All right, so you don't shoot vehicles very often, or maybe this is your first time. There's going to be a few angles that I recommend every photographer shoots when you're shooting a car. The number one car angle, in my opinion, which is always tends to be the hero shot, is a front 3/4. So that's where your car's turned slightly on an angle at a 45. Now, it's one thing to park a vehicle in that way, but then if you turn your wheels, I've seen people turn their wheels the opposite direction and all you'll see is the front of the tire. You don't want that. Turn your wheels in a way that the face of the rim is facing the camera. It seems like a simple thing, but I've seen people do it the other way. It looks not as good. So keep that in mind. That's going to be basically the hero shot of most vehicles. So once you have that, kind of work like clockwork in quarters. So a side profile, rear 3/4, rear straight on, and then basically move around that way. Once you have that, I recommend shooting all of those at kind of different heights because every vehicle is going to be different. If it's a low slammed car, you're going to want to shoot low to the ground to show the little ground clearance. If it's a big lifted truck, then maybe you're going to want to shoot it from higher up than you typically would. Things like this, experiment with it, use your best judgment, but once you have that clockwork around the vehicle on the exterior, while always turning the rims in ways that make sense for your angle, then you should have those in the bag. Obviously, ask your client if there's important details on the vehicle they want captured, because at the end of the day, this is their baby, and if they've customized it in any way, shape, or form, you're going to have to use your judgment on those angles that accent those details best. Also grab some interior shots, and then you should be set up for success. All right, guys, rolling into the last chapter, chapter 5, and this is just going to be a quick surface level topic. It's editing and delivery. Now, if you don't shoot cars very often, or it's, this is something new to you, or you're new at photography in general, less is more when it comes to editing. Because I've seen people, I've done it myself, when you start out, you tend to manipulate the crap out of colors of the vehicle, you bring the contrast way too high, you crank the clarity slider. Just remember, guys, a clean photo is always going to be appreciated. You've used the equipment, you've used your skill, let's just let the photo be edited very minimally. Bump the contrast as necessary. I always like to darken the foreground to draw more attention to the vehicle. But really, guys, don't go too crazy on the edits if that's one piece of advice I could give you. If you want a more in-depth video on how I edit car photos, click up here. I've already made that for you guys. But yeah, less is more. And when you're exporting, I always export in full resolution. I can resize these for Instagram and stuff later on, but I'm always going to give my client the highest resolution version I can. Oh, we got a little light failure over here. Hold on. All right, well, that light's toast. But once you've exported your files and your time to deliver to the client, this is just a small detail I figured I would throw in here. Rename your files, guys. It's just something so small, it takes 2 seconds, and it's gonna make you come across that much more professional. Nobody wants to see file name dwp0468.jpg/edit. Nobody cares about that. If you can just rename it to their name or the vehicle name, model, whatever, it's just going to come across that much more professional, and just a small detail you guys can do very easily. All right, guys, there you have it. And that's my short video. Hopefully this was under 5 minutes. We'll have to see. But basically, I wanted to give you a quick rundown or a little playbook if you're going out to shoot a car. If you guys want to see any more of these chapters more in depth, make sure you subscribe down below because these videos will be coming out soon. I just wanted to give you something that wasn't 10, 20 minutes long, filled with a bunch of fluff and, kind of a vlog style. So this is just more to the point. Get out there, have fun with it, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.